Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Eric May, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Outback Goldfields Corp. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the bottom left of the slides. Once the Q&A session has ended, you will automatically be transferred into the Outback Goldfields booth, where you can continue to ask questions via chat and access additional shareholder materials. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Chris Donaldson, Chief Executive Officer of Outback Goldfields Corp., which trades on OTCQB Venture Market under the symbol OZBKF, and also on the CSE under the symbol OZ. Welcome back, Chris.
Hi, thanks, Eric. Glad to be here again. As mentioned, I'm Chris Donaldson, CEO of Outback Goldfields. I know we've got a number of current shareholders on the line, so I'll give a bit of a recap of what we've done here in 2021. We're 1 year in as a new company, and then I'll explain a little bit about what we have coming up in 2022. So, as mentioned, we trade on the CSE under OZ or OZ, and soon to be listed in the new year under the TSXV. Of course, we're on the OTCQB under OZBKF. So, Outback Goldfields. We're a relatively new company. As mentioned, we started about a year ago and acquired 4 very highly prospective properties in and around the Fosterville mine in Australia, in Victoria, Australia. We did a raise last year and raised $11 million to get us off the bat. And candidly, we've had kind of a start and stop year. There's been some challenges, of course, in Australia and Victoria with COVID and some lockdowns. So we've had a bit of a start and stop, but we're in full swing now and happy to start explaining what we've got ahead. I will be making some forward-looking statements, so if you are going to make an investment, please be sure to read this. So as mentioned, we've got a large land package of 4 properties in the Victorian Goldfields, and this is a prolific area that historically has produced over 80 million ounces of gold. Geologists believe there's another 80 million yet to be discovered there. It's going through a modern day gold rush right now, and most of that is centered or started after Kirkland Lake and their Fosterville mine made a phenomenal discovery in about 2016. And then that Fosterville mine is considered by many to be the highest grade and lowest cost mining in the world. So we're excited to be in the area, and certainly there's excitement in the area. We've got a very experienced board and management team that have been involved in kind of all facets of the mining cycle, in terms of exploration to development to actual mine building and production. We're following a path of previous success, both collectively with our board and management and what their experiences, but also with other junior companies who had similar land packages in the area who've had tremendous share appreciation over the last year or two. We're at a point right now where I think we are at a very attractive entry. If you are going to consider making an investment, it's kind of been a tough year for junior mining as a whole, and of course, with some tax loss going on in the last few weeks here, I think we've been hit down a little bit here, and it could be a good entry point, especially considering we are active in our exploration program now, and are funded for the next 12-15 months. To execute our programs, and should have a relatively steady stream of news and some catalysts coming up in 2022. So we're led by Craig Perry. Many of you may know him. Craig has had a lot of success in the mining sector. He's a geologist by trade and started his career at Rio Tinto, where he was at for about 10 years. He's currently chairman of Vizsla Resources and Skeena Resources, founded ISO Energy and NextGen. He runs a company called Inventa Capital that helped put this deal together. And the story about Craig is actually he tried to acquire the predecessor to the Fosterville mine a number of years ago, and was the underbidder. So he's got some unfinished business in the area, knows the area very well, and was one who helped put together the deal where we acquired these 4 properties from a publicly listed Australian company called Petratherm. And those guys had the foresight to acquire this land about 5 years ago. This land that certainly wouldn't be available today with all the activity going on in the area. Oda Halley, seasoned CFO, had worked for Yamana Gold, Endeavour Mining, and Pan American Silver. Great asset for us. Louis Archambault, many may know him as the head of Corp Dev at Gold Corp for a number of years. He's currently building a mine in Africa with Orezone. Penny Jasky has been key for us on our community side and making sure that we are doing everything proper in Australia. While we're there, she was 15 years with community relations with Rio as well. And then Eric Zonscherb is a very experienced analyst and was head analyst for Canaccord in the mining sector for a number of years as well. I've been in the public space here for about 25 years. My last job was with Western Copper and Gold and Casino Mining Corporation, which had a very large copper gold project up in the Yukon. Was instrumental in bringing in Rio Tinto as a tolled investment in that company as well. One of the challenges, of course, with some of the COVID restrictions is travel between the two countries. So we're lucky that we have basically 2 sets of geology teams. We're in Australia. We're led by Peter Reed. Peter came over from Petratherm and has been advising us and the team of about 8 or 10 people we have down there. He was the one who had the foresight to start tying up this land about 5 years ago and had that first mover advantage or was able to obtain that first mover advantage for us as well. So he's running things down there. I've got Chris Leslie in Vancouver here, where I am based. Chris actually is a PhD geologist and has worked extensively in Victoria and Tasmania. And so he's advising us from the Vancouver end. So a little bit about our share structure. We've got almost 60 million shares out. Our share price is, like I said, over the last couple of weeks with some of this tax losses taking a hit in Canadian terms, we're just around 20 cents now, which would give us a market cap around $15 million. Last reported cash was about a little over 8 million. So half of our market cap actually is in cash right now. So we have enough to execute our program that I'm going to outline going forward. And so we're in fairly good shape for 2022 and are quite optimistic. So we're in Australia, and it's certainly a tier 1 jurisdiction. It's mining friendly. There are mines all around the property there in the district. In the past, they've had some challenges with their traditional owners. They've made great strides with their royalty regime and so forth, and they have a fairly clear permitting system. It's not always quick, but it's clear, and we haven't had any issues with that so far. There have been some other challenges with COVID. For instance, I haven't been able, when they did their lockdown, we weren't able to get a drill delivered to our site because they weren't able to cross state lines. But in terms of having workers and so forth, it's a mining jurisdiction that we're in. And we've been able to staff up fairly easily and get some really high quality people on the ground. And of course, you can drill almost year round there, with the exception of sometimes when the crops are nearing ready. So the story of Victoria, it's pretty interesting. So in 1850 to say about 1920, it was a prolific gold area, and miners from all around the world were coming in and mining this, nuggety gold at or near surface. And they, made Australia one of the richest countries in the world for a while. And they mined that gold until they, got down and hit cover. And the cover, there was a basalt cover or the water table that they would hit. And really, they didn't have the technology at that time to go below cover. And so they had about 100 years of very tough mining. And it wasn't until Fosterville came in and went below cover on their mine and found the fluid source to what they had been mining, and tapped into this swan zone and really reignited a gold rush in the area. And you see the real uptick here over the last number of years. And what they found in that Swan Zone, and this is going back a year or two. At one point, they were mining at about almost 50 gram per ton. So the size of the prize in this area is as good as it gets. So this is what we're looking for. Very, very high grade gold in this area. So here's a map of the area, and you see our 4 projects in orange there. And if we start at the bottom, you've got our project called Glenfine. Glenfine, we did about $1.5 million worth of drilling. It's the only project that we don't own 100%. So we did that drilling and earned in. So we now own that one 51%. The other 3 projects we own 100%. We have just started our drilling campaign at Ewangroon, which is right at the top. So I'll report on that in a second here. And then we've got Ballarat West, and Ballarat West is certainly interesting in that there's been 17 million ounces of gold mined and produced within, say, 3 miles of the property. Yet, our property there is almost entirely unexplored. And then the last property is Silverspoon, which you see up in the top right. And pretty interesting in terms of location there. If you like the closeology play, it doesn't get much better than this. The area in blue is Kirkland Lake, or now Agnico Eagle. You see the Fosterville mine about 8 miles to the north of us. You see the Costerfield mine about 6 miles to the south of us. The area in purple to the right of the map is owned by Newmont Gold. They like the area and bought their or acquired their tenements a couple of years ago. And then the shaded area of red is super interesting in that the Victoria government just put that up for auction. It's actually 4 parcels of land that just sold for about almost $100 million Australian there. So we're surrounded by Newmont and Agnico on both sides, and 2 very high grade operating mines on either side. So if you look at this map, and just very, very simply, our next, say, 12 to 15 months, we're going to be spending the next 4 or so on Ewangroon at the top left. We'll then move down to Ballarat West for about 4 months or so, and then work on Silverspoon on the back half of that campaign. And we have enough money to take us through these 3 programs. So really, we're early stage exploration. It's high risk, it's high reward, but we have basically 3 swings at the back to prove that we're onto some good high grade systems here. So Ewangroon, I mentioned that we've been drilling on that. So, and what we've done is keyed in on a historic mine called the Golden Jacket mine. Hasn't been mined in 80 years, and very high grade, 250 gram per ton. Albeit not much production on that. It comes off of the main fault that goes through the area called the Avoca Fault, and it's on one of these splays called the Golden Jacket fault on that. So what we're doing is very similar to what other companies are doing, is drilling underneath the mine. So we've just poked 9 diamond drill holes underneath there. The main goal of that is to understand the structure. We may get lucky and tie into the system. It's unlikely, but we may. So those results are out for assays right now. At the same time, we also did a RAB program where we drilled 280 holes over top, and RAB holes, of course, are about 10 to 30 meters deep. We're looking for trace elements there, and in this case, it's generally we're looking for high levels of arsenic. Arsenic is associated with gold in the area, so the hope is that we will, and those assays are out, getting assayed right now. Those results are pending, hopefully in the next month or so. So we'll get that information back. And hopefully we'll produce some high quality targets for us. We've already done the LiDAR and the MAG survey in there, so we're really honing in on the area that we want. Here's just a little map of the RAB GRIB program that we have. Some is a little smaller spacing right around the mine, and then we've got a wider grid on top. So we're hoping to get some a better understanding of the trends, and this will all inform us where to drill in probably early February, maybe in January, and have a much better chance of tying into the system at that point. So the good news is we're seeing some at first glance with our what we call an XPRF, or what is called an XPRF, and so we're seeing some initial results of some high levels of arsenic, which is great. We're seeing on the core that we're tying into some of this reef quartz with associated arsenopyrite mineralization, which is what you want to see. So there's certainly some smoke in the area there, and looking forward to getting better informed to get these results back. We'll then apply basically the same program to Ballarat West. And Ballarat West, you see outlined in black, where we're currently doing some soil sampling and so on, all that kind of pre-drill work that you need to do. And again, this is exciting because if you look at all the red and blue, that's historic workings there. There's been, as mentioned, 17 million ounces within a few miles of the property. But you look, there's very little exploration on our property, and the reason for that is it's under that basalt cover that I talked about, and the area is in very light blue. You see that there isn't cover, and that's where the drilling has been centered. We truly believe that there's these north-south structures that go right through the property, and are very anxious to get onto this property. Our chairman believes, and our geologists believe, this is our best chance of hitting a 1 million+ ounce resource. We're just got to go through the process and get onto that property, which we're starting to do now in a minor way, and then we'll start drilling once we're done up at Ewangroon. So the other project that we had is Glenfine, and Glenfine is a very good project. It's slightly different mineralization from the other few. It had the most drilling on it. As mentioned, we had to earn in on that one, so we spent about $1.5 million and had some very good results. We had some 4, 5, 8, 10 gram hits on that. Our drilling was centered around the old historic Glenfine mine, and then we had identified another reef a few hundred yards away. We drilled in between and looking to see if there's some continuity between the two reefs, and it appears that there is. So this is something that we're anxious to get back on once we finish establishing some targets on the other properties, and then we'll basically, with the whole portfolio, we'll rank and prioritize what we want to put our final bit of cash into, and really get our best chance of success for. So, and then our last project is Silverspoon. We're waiting for the application on the exploration application on that, and this is the one that's sandwiched between Newmont and Kirkland Lake, and of course you got the Fosterville, which is just 8 miles away, which is mining at very high grade. It was great to see that Mandalay Resources, which owns the Costerfield mine, just hit into an area and they hit 23 gram per ton. So, the knock on the whole region is, it's Fosterville is phenomenal, but there's only one of them. And what we're seeing now is that it looks like there may be multiple Fostervilles, because we're starting to see a lot of good results coming out of all the activity in the area. On that original map that I had shown, if you added up every company in their exploration programs, I think the projected spend on exploration this year and the next 12 months is about 250 gram per ton. So we're certainly looking forward to seeing additional results. Everybody's getting a better understanding of the area there, and if anybody gets some results, then all boats tend to float. And the good news is, we're seeing people getting rewarded for results in the area. And part of that is because of the area itself. One of the challenges on mining, you make a discovery, you then have to have infrastructure and all these other things to actually make it into a mine, which is difficult to do. But in this area, I think you have the best chance of any area. There's mines all around. All the infrastructure is generally in place. The good example, which is going back a year or two now, is Fosterville South. They IPO'd about a year and a bit before us. IPO'd, had some good results, marketed well. Gold went on a bit of a run, and they got up to about a 300 million market cap. They've since pulled back, but they're still around 100 million. They spun out some assets and so on, but still a lot of share appreciation from the early levels. Mandalay Resources, which is already producing, they had that one hit and doubled overnight. And then probably the most similar peer to us is E79 Resources, and we came out about the same time. And if you look at their graph, it was very similar to ours. In fact, our valuation was actually higher than theirs until they made a very phenomenal discovery. They had one hit of 11 meters at 160 gram per ton. And they got up over $100 million, and suddenly Eric Sprott came in and gave them some money. They did an additional raise, and I think now they have 2030 in the bank or something, and have a pretty good runway for the next 2 or 3 years to prove out the system. So we're very encouraged by that. And as mentioned, we have three good chances this year of trying to tie into a system, and we're really looking forward to getting onto it. So we have our program set. We're working Ewing right now. We've done that initial drilling. Those results should come back either this month or early in January. That will indicate, kind of give us the targets that we need to do additional drilling in the new year. While that's going on, we're doing all the pre-drill work in Ballarat West. So once we finish the drilling up there, we'll move the drills down to Ballarat West, and then ultimately get on to Silverspoon. Oops. So just in summary here, when we're evaluating projects and how we originally acquired these projects was really, there's a bit of a mantra that's, what is the size of the prize? What is the cost of the test? And what is the chance of success? And in this case, the size of the prize is as good as it gets. It's a Fosterville style, high grade, high margin mine. The cost of the test, well, it's certainly not cheap, but in terms of having all the infrastructure and so forth there, we couldn't be happier in our jurisdiction that we're at. And the chance of success, it's as good as any exploration project in anywhere in the world. Our peers are getting good results. Majors are moving into the area, and the area is absolutely dripping in gold. So as mentioned before, there's 80 million ounces that have been produced, and we truly believe there'll be another 80 million yet to be discovered, and we hope to be the next discovery on that. So with that, I'll end off. If you want to get a hold of me, I'll be online here for a bit. Of course, info@outbackgoldfields.com, or you can give us a call, 604-900-0499. Sign up for our mailing list. Everything's available on outbackgoldfields.com. So thanks for your time, guys. And maybe I'll turn over to a couple of questions that I see have come in here. Yes, besides COVID, what are the major obstacles to hitting goals in 2022? So COVID, it's a real issue. I mentioned before, our program, basically, I announced a big program in May, June, and then 2 days later they shut down. And so that program got pushed to September. And so, that may flare up again. I don't know with this new variant coming out, if that happens again. So far, it looks clear, and we hope to get on. The other barrier to hitting our goals might be because there's so much activity in the area. There could be some backlogs with the assay labs and acquiring drills. So far, we've been pretty good about securing those and have a plan for the year already. So we're able to plan on that. So, it's just a matter of getting the results and executing our plan. Institutional owners. Yeah, that's a good question. So, we're primarily retail based right now. We're a smaller company. When we did our financing, we did it non-brokered, generally through the following of Craig Perry and myself, and in our career. I certainly have a goal to increase that base. The challenge we have is that institutions don't want to come in for 100 or 200,000. They want to come in for 4 or 5 million. And at our share price, I wouldn't want to dilute that right now. So the goal, of course, is to make some discoveries and move the share price up, and then look to get more institutions who will back us a little longer term. And then, question, what are the catalysts for Oz's revaluation? And that's a good question. And this area, as I mentioned, it's a high risk, high reward. And really, we have to show that we are tapped into some systems. And like I said, we have 3 swings at the bat, so to speak, on that. We've got our Ewing property that we're working on. We've got to start hitting some of this high grade stuff, and then we'll move to Ballarat West and then Silverspoon. So those are really the 3 catalysts on that. I have all the cash to get through the program that I outlined before. So I think we have a very good chance of hitting some of those milestones. It's certainly not easy. They're narrow veins and so on, but if you do hit them, you see the leverage. We've seen the leverage with other projects and how well they've done on that. So thanks, guys. I don't see any more questions. I will stick around in the, I'm not sure what they're calling it there, the additional booth. So happy to answer those. And again, happy to, if you guys reach out and want to get a hold of us. I do think it's an extraordinary opportunity right now. We've been, not unfairly, but beat up this year just with the start and stops. We've got cash. We've got a good program. We're in a great area. We've got a good team behind us, and there's an opportunity right now to get in with this tax loss selling at a very reasonable price. If you look, my chairman and I've been picking up shares over the last while as well, and see it as a great opportunity as well. So thanks for your time, and happy to continue the conversation in the next room.